Hi everyone, it's me. Today we are doing a special video. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've just recently hit 10,000 subscribers, so thank you so much. I seriously never even dreamed of having this many subscribers, and I know it's not that many in the grand scheme of things, but I am just so forever grateful. I even put on some mascara today to celebrate. A very rare occurrence, me putting on the tiniest bit of makeup. But anyways, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I regularly post videos of myself doing fitness challenges, different workouts, etc. But we're just doing something a little different in this video. I've seen that a lot of you have wanted to hear about my personal fitness journey. So to celebrate all of you being here and supporting me, I will open up and share about my past. So before we get into our story time, I just want to put a trigger warning here. I did go through some tough times struggling with eating issues, body issues. So if hearing my story or listening to things about those topics are not helpful to your current health journey, please skip this one. I don't want anything I say to be detrimental to your own health and fitness journeys. So with that being said, let's get into our story time. Okay, so where did my fitness journey start? I've always been active since I was a small child. I never really worked out in a traditional sense, going to the gym, for example. I didn't do any of that. But when I was really tiny, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years old, my parents put me into figure skating. I never really thought of it as fitness at the time. It was more a hobby that I enjoyed doing. But figure skating is definitely a very physically demanding sport. And along with all the on-ice training that we were doing, we were also required to do conditioning, fitness tests, etc. off ice as well. So I was doing figure skating competitively for a very long time, and that was basically my form of working out as a kid. And since figure skating also requires grace on top of athleticism, another form of supplementary off-ice training we had to do was ballet class. And from just doing one ballet class a week for figure skating, I grew to really love dance as well. So I ended up also signing up for competitive dance. So for a lot of my childhood, I was training at all hours of the day. I remember waking up at 5 a.m., going to figure skating practice in the middle of the night. It was still dark outside and it was cold. Then I would go straight to school. I would literally be changing out of my figure skating clothes into my regular clothes in the car on the way to school. And then after school, I would go straight to dance and I would be there until 9 or 10 p.m. Because of all this training I was doing at 10 years old, I was probably in the best shape I've ever been in my entire life. I remember having a six-pack as a kid. People would see it and they'd just be like, what the heck? I also remember doing a fitness test. It required some mobility testing, strength training, and also cardio. So they hooked us up to one of those heart rate and breathing monitors and made us run on a treadmill. It was horrible. But I remember the people that were administering the test were telling me I had the stamina of a 25-year-old firefighter or something. And I was just this tiny 10-year-old little girl. So that was all fun and good, and I was really fit. But when I was around 11 years old maybe, it all just started to get too much for me. I was definitely overtraining and I felt super burnt out all the time. So I came to a point where I had to pick one or the other, either figure skating or dance. I just couldn't do both. There were not enough hours in the day and there were not enough muscles in my body. So at that point, I decided to quit figure skating and focused on dance. From there, I moved to a pretty prestigious dance studio in my area. It was very well known. It was one of the top dance schools. So all of a sudden, my dance training became really intense. I absolutely loved the training. I saw all the progress that I was having in dance, but with the more intense elite attitude, some uglier things started to come into the picture as well. Now, as a kid, I had never really been one to focus on my outer appearance. I had always just focused on doing activities that I loved and also eating all the foods I loved. I had a massive appetite, which makes sense because I was doing all this training. I needed all the sustenance. I needed those calories. But then all of a sudden I hit puberty and my body started growing in all these new regions that I wasn't used to. Now, puberty is a natural thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's our bodies preparing for the next stage of life. But as a dancer in your teenage years, puberty can seem like the most evil thing in the entire world. In our little dance bubble, the worst thing in the world was growing curves. It's actually kind of funny because nowadays growing a booty is trendy. Like, I see everyone on social media posing with their butts out. Everyone's doing all these exercises to grow their booties, but that's not what it was like back then when I was a teenager. Back then, all we wanted to be were these tiny little stick creatures with no curves. And if you've been following me for a while and seen all my fitness challenge videos, you've probably seen that I'm not a naturally curvy person. But at the time, any slight tiny growth was really obvious to me personally. Now, when I look back at all these photos of myself, I feel like I look so tiny. But I do remember seeing these photos differently at the time. I absolutely hated my torso region. I thought I looked puffy, I thought I looked soft, and I really hated my legs. And I hated that they were short and stubby because that is the opposite you want as a dancer. I didn't really appreciate my body for being the way it was. It also did not help that all of our dance coaches always commented about our weight, told us we looked puffy, always tried to restrict our diets and tell us what we could or couldn't eat. So I feel like all of this pressure caused me to start making these food rules for myself. Now, I'm not going to go too into depth about what my food rules were. I just don't think that's beneficial to share in this video. But basically, all of my food rules accounted to me having 800 or less calories a day. And 800 calories a day is way too low for anyone, especially a teenage girl, and also training at the caliber I was at the time. I remember at the time my stamina was dropping. I would get so tired trying to go through my dances. I feel like it also really stunted my training and progress. I kind of hit a plateau in my training and I stopped improving. But at the time, I just had such a fear of my body growing, and that just really overshadowed any other thought at the time. It was so consuming. So that continued throughout high school. I finally graduated, and I remember being so relieved. Graduation meant that I had an excuse to leave that prestigious dance school and move away to another city for university. I left, I moved away, and at university, I started making new friends with people that weren't also dancers. The difference was astounding, and I remember being shocked. They weren't just obsessed with their body shape all the time. So from there, I did decide to continue dancing, and I joined the competitive dance team at my university. I noticed that it had such a laid-back atmosphere compared to what I came from. Everyone was dancing just because they loved dancing. We were not focused on our body image. We were not focused on like making it professionally into the dance world, which I think really took the pressure off like all of that negativity. So at this stage in my life, good thing, I fell back in love with dance and continued on with my life. With this new lifestyle though, I did acquire some new issues. I did gain that infamous freshman 15 that everyone always talks about, and it went past first year. So I continued to gain weight throughout all 4 years of my being in school. I wasn't training as hard as I used to, and I was definitely indulging in more things. I was having more social meals. I was going out with my friends, all that sort of thing that comes with that age and environment. So my body was growing again, and I was bigger than I had ever been in my entire life, and my inner self-loathing came back. Now, as a generally shorter and smaller person, I noticed that when I tried to bring my feelings up to people, like my friends, I would get shut down. To me, I was the largest I had ever been, and that's all I could notice. I know that others do struggle more with obesity than I did, but for me, I was the biggest I had ever been, and I was still a dancer, so I still had to wear crop tops and booty shorts and flaunt my body all over the stage. So I was definitely uncomfortable in my own body, but because of this, because I was still on the smaller side of the spectrum, whenever I tried to bring my thoughts about how large I felt, my comments would literally get invalidated by my friends and the people around me. No one would take my struggles and my thoughts seriously, which really just pushed me down even farther, and I definitely think that's a big issue. Body issues and food issues can show differently on different people, so I started to fall back into my old ways, and I started to make food rules for myself again. I seriously thought this was going to help bring my weight down, but in reality, my extreme calorie restricting just led me to start binging. So this actually resulted in my continuing to gain more weight. I also tried going to the gym occasionally, but I just didn't like it. I didn't know what to do with all the machines. It was crowded all the time. I didn't like the thought that people might be looking at me. And the sort of monotonous movements that are popular in the gym, you know, doing the same rep over and over again, just wasn't my thing. So I really wasn't motivated to go regularly, and to be honest, I'm pretty sure I went 5 or less times in a full year. So this continued on after I graduated. I started working and I was living with a roommate, and I was still under the spell of my rules that I had made for myself. It actually wasn't until I met my boyfriend when I finally realized my self-worth. I remember there was this one time he made a comment on my legs and he called them stubbies, and I took great offense. My legs were always something that I was not confident about. I knew they were short, I knew they were stubby, but he made me realize that he was saying that in like an endearing way. He loved my little stubby legs, and he made me realize that I didn't have to be some like tall model ballerina body to be beautiful. He encouraged me to be kind to myself and to try and break out of these food rules that I had. So this is when my mindset finally shifted. I started focusing more on health first over any body or physical appearance goals. I stopped skipping meals, I stopped calorie counting, but I focused more on just eating foods that made me feel good. And guess what happened? I started eating more food on a regular basis, stopped binging, and my extra body weight that I had acquired just shed off. And the funny thing is, I didn't even notice it going. Because I stopped focusing so much on my body, it wasn't until a year later when I reunited with one of my old friends and she noticed that I had just like shrunk back down. Now, I am not an expert. I am not scientifically trained or anything, but my just personal belief is that because I started eating again regularly, my metabolism just came back to balance and my body just found its natural set point again. I have been eating intuitively and exercising regularly for 3 to 4 years now, and my body has finally stopped yo-yoing. I've stopped gaining weight and then losing a little and then gaining it again, and I've never felt more happy or confident in myself. If I want ice cream, I eat ice cream. If I want pizza, I eat pizza. And as a result, I don't binge anymore. I also do exercise more frequently now because I finally found a workout style that I actually enjoy doing. I think that is so important. I truly believe that if you are struggling with your personal fitness journey, focus on doing the things you actually like. Eat the foods that you like. Don't force yourself to eat kale if you hate the taste of kale. If you don't like going to the gym, don't go to the gym. Do home workouts instead. If you don't like running, don't run. You can jump rope, you can ride a bike, you can do HIIT, swim, dance parties, anything. On the other hand, if you don't like body weight exercises, go lift some weights, go do your thing. I am still not a big fan of the gym. I just don't like the atmosphere, I don't like the smell. I definitely prefer just working out in the comfort of my own home. So that is my story and how I came to achieve balance with my body. As a final thought, I do want to touch on calorie counting in general as well. I know a lot of my videos here on YouTube are calorie based, and I do track calories to show what's going on here on YouTube. And I guess now that you guys know I'm not actually a calorie counter personally anymore, you might be wondering why I do that. So calorie counting can actually be very beneficial and productive to a large group of people. It definitely is possible to track your calories in a healthy and balanced way. Just because it didn't work for me in the past, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work for everyone. And that's the reason I continue to do this, but I have started to put disclaimers on all of my calorie count focused videos. But yeah, outside of filming for YouTube, I personally don't track my own calories. For my personality type, I feel like it's way more beneficial to just focus on how my body feels after a workout. And that's why on all my videos, I also include my intensity rating and my fun rating instead. I would definitely focus more on those types of ratings that I give in my workout videos. But if you're more of a technical calorie tracking person and you're doing it in a healthy, balanced way, you are the people that I'm doing the calorie counts for. So that's it. I hope you liked it. I've never done this type of storytime video before, so I hope me just sitting here and talking wasn't too boring. I gave you some baby photos in there along the way, so I hope you enjoyed those. I just want to say thank you again for all the support on my channel. Give me a like if you like me. Remember to subscribe if you like me and want to see more of my regular content. Do the bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!